Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. The bigger picture, only on Money FM 89.3.
Good morning. Welcome to The Bigger Picture. And here are 4 unstoppable trends investors can look at. AI, of course. We've got climate change. How can investors look at the innovative technologies on that front? Healthcare is also going to be in focus. Plus, how the US and China polarization can be also an opportunity. Well, this is something to unpack with our next guest, Peng. He is the head of Asia investment strategy for Citi Global Wealth Investments. Ken, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Thank you very much. Very good.
Great to have you on. You've got a report looking ahead to 2025. It's called Growth Amid Discord, Strategies for a Rule-Breaking Expansion. So help us to lay out the context first of what we are getting into in 2025, coming off the back of a pretty strong 2024.
Sure, of course. So the pretty strong 2024 was the rule-breaking part, right? We had many forward indicators from the financial markets and from the real economy side, like manufacturing and housing, and from the financial side, the yield curve inversion. All these indicators had been reliable indicators of recession in the past, but it didn't happen this time. And mainly that's because the pandemic had really sunk services employment, and that recovery took longer, was much more powerful to offset these other negatives, right? So we had some areas of recession in the past couple of years. Manufacturing, for example, is still shrinking in the U.S. But overall markets and the economy, consumption, employment are still growing, and so that was the rule-breaking part. The discord part is pretty obvious, right? So, we have the U.S.-China strategic competition going on, and it's at risk of expanding to the rest of the world with the incoming President Trump, right? So this is a risk that we're watching very closely, but we don't think this is going to bring the U.S. or global economy into recession.
Yeah, let's pick up on that point, U.S. versus China. And of course, with Donald Trump set to come in office in a few days' time, how should investors be positioning their portfolios? Where should they be looking?
So I think in the short term, we probably worrying a little too much. With any, incoming president, right? I mean, the campaign rhetoric, the campaign promises are always easier to make than actually implementing it in office. So I think, with Trump, the economic policies, basically 4 prongs, right? Tariffs, immigration, deregulation, and fiscal policy, right? So I don't think actually taxes are coming down in a meaningful way. But anyway, so all 4 of these things, right? Even tariffs are likely to go through a substantial period of negotiation in the next half year, perhaps 12 months even. So in the coming year, I actually think we should be looking at domestic demand. We should be looking at emerging markets, non-U.S. markets. We should be looking at markets that were left behind because of fear of the next Trump administration. So I think the uncertainties in policy are very high, and I think that's something we need to watch carefully for. But it's not obvious that all of the Trump trades will continue apace.
So amid the trade disputes and also geopolitics, actually one of the opportunities you're eyeing is defense contractors. That's quite interesting.
Oh, yes. So this actually has been going on for quite a while, right? I mean, even from the first Trump administration, basically asking all allies to pony up more money for defense. And now with, the Ukraine conflict, Ukraine-Russia conflict, the Israel-Hamas conflict, it is making it more obvious that the countries that are closer to that region will need to spend a lot more on defense. And also in Asia, right? I think with Japan, China, and, the regional players here are also likely to increase investment in defense. So we think this is something that will be with us for some years.
Right, something that will be with us, of course, will be AI. So how are you approaching this, especially when you look at some of the bigger names having valuations that are quite rich right now?
Yes, so the AI phenomenon so far has been dominated by semiconductors, right? Chip makers and designers particularly, and only the large ones, right? So if you remove the large chip designer and makers from, say, the Philly Semiconductor Index, the rest of the guys, on average, had been kind of flat. So we think, the demand for chips in the AI age is likely to continue for some time, and the benefits are likely to spread out a little bit more. And the bigger trend this year is probably going to be a shift towards investing in software and applications and how to capitalize on the infrastructure that had already been built. All the models and stuff, right? So I think this is going to be a year where software gets more attention, takes more attention away from semiconductors. But generally speaking, I think AI, a unstoppable trend, will continue for long.
Right, AI, one of the trends alongside what's happening between US and China. Another trend you're tracking is what's happening in the climate with innovative technologies providing some investment opportunities. What's something that's catching your eye here?
Yes, sure. So, take a news item, right? The fires surrounding Los Angeles. Basically, there's a lot of climate disasters that are ongoing, and for places like California, where this ongoing drought for a number of years basically creates a huge demand for desalination, right? So this is something what we're looking at, right? Instead of looking at greening, right, meaning slowing down the global warming, I think that at this point is very difficult to achieve. So instead, we want to adapt to the realities of the climate that we have, right? And so, desalination, creating water out of salt water, filtering energy, floating infrastructure, rain harvesting. So this, and also a lot of applications for agriculture, more natural, renewable ways of heating and cooling. So there's a lot of things that we need to do to live in the future of this future climate that is perhaps less than ideal, but we can still adapt to it, right? So that's the investment angle in this area.
All right, talking about living, healthcare is something in focus as well. We've been talking about weight loss drugs for some time. What's going to be the focus on your table here?
Yeah, so basically results-based healthcare, right? Instead of treating diseases when they erupt, prevention, right? So I think the weight loss drugs is a good example of that. It shows you what kind of market potential there is for that kind of solution. And with the advancements in AI and the models that are able to test, discover new drugs without actually using that much lab time, I think that's going to create a lot more solutions for how we can, treat disease. Prevent diseases from happening, treat people, and live a healthier life, right? So I think that's the angle we're looking for at this time. And also, the healthcare sector has been hit by, I think, one-time issues, right? For example, the potentially new health secretary doesn't really believe in vaccines, but I don't think he's going to really pull back that much on drug research. And then, there's been some issues with executives of managed care companies. Even that's going to be a relatively temporary setback. So I think with basically in the industry where long-term demand and supply are pretty dynamic and strong for earnings growth, and then you have these temporary shocks. Right, so that's actually a pretty good opportunity in our mind to be buying these things at more reasonable valuation.
A couple of unstoppable trends for investors to watch as they take on 2025. We've been in conversation with Peng. He's the head of Asia Investment Strategy for Citi Global Wealth Investments. Ken, thanks so much for your time and insights today.
Thank you very much.
Great having you on. Stay with Money FM 89.3.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.